But let me talk about our classes, our curriculum, what we're doing, and the variety of our kids' programs. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about curriculum, some things I wanted to share. I have a list of some things that Desi wanted me to mention tonight, notes from the wife, and some things just administratively. And then if you have any questions, we'll take questions, but give you some idea of what we do, how we do it, and what we need, and so forth. Obviously, my focus tonight is on children's classes, so not adult classes. That's another whole thing. I talked about them a little bit this morning. But our children's ministry incorporates Sunday school, Sunday morning, and Sunday night. We don't have any children's or youth programs on Wednesday, midweek. We do ours on Sunday night. And so Sunday school, we use Answers in Genesis curriculum. We have used that for both the pre-primary and the middler, junior age. I'll talk about those both in a second. We were using it, obviously, adult class as well. But as we finished up the 4-year cycle in adult class, we're switching to something else. The children are starting over because it's been 4 years. And so almost all the children in those classes have graduated on. It's been almost a full turnover in Sunday school. Over a 4-year period. That's twice as long as most curriculum. 4 years is the Answers in Genesis stuff. We have some needs in Sunday school, and I'd like to see our Sunday school grow. You know, I think our Sunday school has consistently lagged behind our other classes. So I'll talk about Sunday school for just in a minute. Number 2 is our children's church, junior church program. Our junior church program is probably our biggest of all of our kids' classes and ministries during the church hour. And so again, divided into 2 classes. Lisa Fike has the younger kids in that group, and then the other one is on a rotation basis. We'll talk about that as far as the teachers. But that's probably our biggest group of children that we have or minister to within a week is during junior church. And so I want to talk about that curriculum probably in more detail than any of the others. Then Sunday night, we have just 2 classes. We have a children's class that is taught by my wife, Morgan Kuntz, and Angie Lennington. Angie is now teaching the lesson in that class. They have an extremely consistent group. They have about 12 children in that class, and those 12 kids are always here. It's unbelievable how consistent they are. If we have 35 in here, they have 12 back there. If we have 70 in here, they have 12 back there. I don't know how they do it, but that group is unbelievably consistent. So Desi and Angie Lennington, they make the same handouts and have a very consistent group. And so Angie Lennington, I think right now is using, because she teaches the 5-day clubs and the CEF stuff, she's using a lot of that in those classes for the lessons, so we don't buy curriculum for that. They always take care of that themselves. There would be some opportunities to assist with that. Usually whenever Desi and I go camping, so does Morgan. We tend to go camping together, and so it would be nice to have a consistent substitute to help maybe Angie in that class if Desi and Morgan are away. That happens 3 to 4 times on a Sunday night in a season. So. Our youth, I'm not really centered on our youth tonight. Our teenagers, junior high, senior high are all together. Boys and girls, 7th through 12th grade are all together, both Sunday morning and Sunday school. That's both Ross Lennington and Glenn White rotate teaching that class. And they consistently have half a dozen or more in that class. And then the Burges, Mark and Laura Burge, have that same group on Sunday nights in the fellowship hall. Both of those groups, I think, are ripe for some growth. We could see more kids get involved in both of those groups, but consistent in our teaching and so forth in both of those classes. I'm not really going to spend a lot of time on that tonight. Sunday school. Let's talk about Sunday school real quick. Sunday school, we have 2 classes. The youngest class is taught by Debbie Myers and Jasmine Rudisil every other month. They teach the Answers in Genesis material. They have what's called the pre-K and first grade curriculum that they use. They get a box like this. It has 10 lessons in it. And just like if you were in Johnny Walker's class in here, it's 10 weeks at a time. So you get everything you need for 10 weeks in a box. Plus, the teacher gets a code. And I'm not sure many of our teachers, I don't know how many access that, but you get a code in the book. You can go online, and there is a wealth of information you can download. So there's all kinds of stuff that you can download on there. But obviously there's a teacher's book, there's a workbook for the kids, take-home papers, all that stuff comes in a little packet. Because AIG, I find them to be very cutting edge. So if we run out of anything, we can easily download, make copies, color copies on the copier. If we need anything, we don't run out. I think the AIG stuff works really well. The older class, which is like our junior class, we're talking, third, fourth, fifth graders, roughly that age. They're not in the youth group yet. Obviously, they're not in kindergarten and first grade. And so that class, for a number of years now, has been taught by Sharon Vondell. Sharon's been out for a while with both health and family issues. She continues to be out, and I don't know when she's coming back. But she doesn't want to give up her class. So in the meantime, her class has just been combined with the younger ones, which is tough. It's tough for the kids. The curriculum is the same, right? We have the same lesson. So, the teacher who's teaching the younger ones knows what the lesson is for the older ones. They're just at a whole different level, right? You got fifth graders and kindergartners in the same class, which is too wide of an age span. So if you want to see a need we have a need in that class. Right now, there's a definite need in that class. And I think long term, it would be good to have someone else to rotate with Sharon. When she comes back, if she wants to continue teaching, which I understand she does. So when she comes back, there's a need in that class for consistent rotation. So you could teach at least half the time moving forward. And so this is what we teach. It's the Answers in Genesis. You get all the stuff 10 weeks at a time to kind of plan ahead of time. It all comes in this neat little box. I'm going to talk a lot about keeping stuff. Keeping stuff. We throw nothing away. It's extremely important. And that's going to be the emphasis when I get to junior church. But everything that's left over, we keep, because that saves us from having to order it next time, all right? What Answers in Genesis has done, and they've revolutionized curriculum, other ones are starting to fall into line, is theirs is not set up on a certain date for a certain lesson. You can start this series whenever you want to and just teach 200 lessons in a row. They have 50 lessons a year that they give you, and then you can buy separately if you want to, or download Easter and Christmas and teach them at Easter and Christmas time. Other than that, the other 50 are set, and you can teach them whenever. And if you have to stop for a week because there's an evangelist in town or a missionary in town, you just pick up the next week. If you have to stop for a number of weeks because there's a pandemic, you can just pick up as soon as you get back together and keep going, So all those things have worked well with AIG. As opposed to everybody else who has a very set schedule, theirs works really well that way. So that's that one. And there is a need there for that juniors class. There's probably, I should have asked Desi, but I think there's a consistent 4, 5, 6 children in that class. By the way, this should not surprise you, but we have great kids at our church. We have great kids all the way up. They are a fantastic group. They are not perfect, but they're a really good group. And so I think our teachers really enjoy interacting with our kids. We don't have a rough group or troubled kids. Not that that couldn't happen at some point, but I'm telling you, we have good kids, and I think you'll enjoy working with our kids. So there's my sales pitch for the night. All right. Let's talk about junior church, because junior church is our biggest group. It's the time we have highest number of teachers involved, and it's where we probably have some more issues with some of our curriculum stuff. Junior church is divided into 2 classes. The youngest one, 3 years old up through roughly first grade, roughly. And we're very flexible. We are not hard and staunch on when kids have to go from the nursery to their junior church class. We let them go when they're ready to go. They may be 2 years and 9 months. They may be 3 years and 7 months. You know what I mean? When they're ready to go, we get them to go. Sometimes it's a slow transition. Some kids are ready to go, man. They're done with the nursery. Some kids don't want to leave the toys and snacks. They sitting at a table is too much. So for a lot of these kids, sitting in Lisa Fike's junior church class, this is the first time they've ever sat at a table. First time they've ever done this stuff, right? They haven't maybe probably gone to school or anything yet. So this is their first time. So they're very patient with them. I think they do a great job back there with that. But Lisa teaches this every single week. Lisa's the only teacher of that class. Could probably use a good, consistent substitute for that class. So if Lisa's not able to be here, there's someone has some idea what's going on that could help. But we'll get to that in a minute too. So Lisa teaches that every week, 3 years old up through first grade roughly. And it's Joyful Life. So Joyful Life is written by Becca. Comes from Pensacola Christian College, Becca Books, the Becca curriculum. Joyful Life is the name of their curriculum that they put out for churches. And so we use Joyful Life, and we've used Joyful Life for a long time. It comes with this type of stuff. You get the book, and you get the big color cards. So there's no flannel graph anymore, right? You have the big card, you open up, show them the picture, and you read the story in the book. This is what you get. It's a little more confusing, and I'll explain why, in the older junior church class. That class has really grown. We've seen a lot of our kids grow up out of Lisa's class and into that class. Plus, children who have recently started coming have migrated into that class. So I think the older junior church class, are any of those teachers here? Yeah, how many do you have, roughly? 12 today. That's perfect. Second to fifth. It is a big span. I'll get to that. So second to fifth is the upper class. Those teachers rotate every month, and we have 3 or 4 teams. So they rotate consistently. It's hard because the Joyful Life stuff is set up on a schedule. For example, to make this very, very clear, this lesson that I'm holding right here is about David when he's young, and it's 3 lessons, just 3 lessons. So let's say you're teaching junior church the month of May. You're teaching May. One of the teachers may have already taught lesson 1 because it's already on the schedule. And you have lesson 2 and 3, and then you change and start teaching probably, older David fleeing from Saul, type of that time period. You'll have that lesson that you'll teach the first couple lessons of, and then someone else takes it and teaches. So I know that makes it a little confusing. Sometimes it can be a little disjointed of when you come in. That Joyful Life comes with a teacher book. That teacher book, they used to, and probably the ones you have a schedule in the front. You're supposed to teach this lesson on this Sunday. It has dates on the front. Number 1, Joyful Life has stopped printing this in their teacher books because of AIG. They let you teach it whenever you want to. And number 2, they do make a schedule available, and because we're set up that way, Desi prints off the schedule that they make, and she tapes it or staples it into the front. All right? It comes with this little book to give you a guide that you need to pass from teacher to teacher as your month ends to the next teacher. It comes with these things, some of which you may carry from month to month. These are your lessons. And then it comes with all the take-home stuff. And the take-home stuff, Desi has just recently, over the last number of months, made easier for you because she takes it all apart and puts it in folders. And she only puts in the folders that you need. So if you're teaching for the month of May, she'll give you the corresponding folders for each week in your month. Here's the most important thing. Whatever is left over, don't throw away. Please keep it. Please keep it. I asked Desi on the way home today, I'm like, how many do you order for Liz's class? She says, well, they've been running about 12. So that was consistent. And she said, I order 15. But there's extras available. There's extras for all those because we keep them from year to year. These teachers may have 6 one week, they may have 14 another week. And so what is left over may be inconsistent, but we keep them as backups. Because the chance of us having a ton of kids the same exact Sunday 2 years from now is rare, right? We probably have the extras that we need in the folders. And so those are available in there. And some of them Desi holds back, especially if there's a lot. If you have a lot of kids that Sunday morning, go see Desi. She'll tell you where the folder is. It's in the resource room. You can go get extra papers out. Don't make black and white copies of take-home papers. That drives Destiny crazy. You know, we pay good money for our curriculum. We have a color copier. If we need to make a copy, we can make a copy, but there's probably some already in a folder. And so if you need extras, make sure you see Desi. Desi works hard, I think, on trying to forecast what that next quarter is going to be, right? She has to order a couple months ahead of time, and she has to forecast, this is how many was in the class, these are families who are in the church, these are families who have started coming, these are families who have left, these are kids who are graduating out of the class, how many is going to be, you know, right now she's trying to plan what kids are going to be in that class for, you know, August and September. That's hard to do, but we try our best to keep it somewhat reasonable so you know how many kids to expect. So we have a number of teachers for that junior church class. We could always use more teachers. We could always use more helpers. And then I want to talk about substitutes. It would be nice to have a list of substitutes so that you know who is an approved substitute for your class. We can't just go around and pick people randomly. They have to have all their background check stuff in order, and they have to be somewhat familiar with the curriculum so they know what they're doing. And so one of the things Desi wanted me to share tonight is we want to put together an approved substitute list so that if Liz wakes up Sunday morning or Saturday night, she's sick, and she needs someone to teach, she knows I can call these 2 or 3 people. You know, obviously, this should be obvious, but sometimes it hasn't always been. Leave this stuff in your room. You don't need to take this home. We've had some teachers take it all home, and then they're sick, and then none of the stuff's there, you know? Well, leave this stuff here. I know you need your teacher book. You know, you need your teacher book. I think Desi has at least 2 of these. So if you took one, there should still be one here. So see Destiny. She has all this stuff organized. We don't have a Sunday school superintendent anymore or someone that's in charge of that, other than Destiny does all the ordering and all the organizing. So if you have a question, see Desi. She can help you with that. All right, substitutes, keep your papers, and be careful not taking the stuff home. That's the other thing she wanted me to mention. So are there needs? Yeah, I think our biggest need right now is the older Sunday school class, the older kids Sunday school class that Sharon Vondell was teaching, but hasn't been here for a while. We need someone to take that class. We don't want to keep them combined. That's too big of an age span. It's way bigger than it should be. And so we want to have our own Sunday school class for that group. So we need a teacher for that. So if you can help with that, there would be a need now or moving forward. We could use some more, if you say, I don't want to teach every month, but I'd be a substitute for junior church, that would be good. You could sit in on a class or 2 or talk to a teacher or 2 and become a substitute. Got to have your background check stuff in order, but many of you have done that. And so those are some of the needs that we have. Ultimately, I'd like to see the older junior church class become more of a junior church and less of a Sunday school class. Because what we have is 2 Sunday school curriculums. We just teach them at 2 different hours. I'd like to see junior church. Desi talks about this a lot, and I grew up this way too. When we grew up, junior church was not a Sunday school class. Junior church was junior church. Junior church would have met in the fellowship hall. There was probably some guy in the church or a rotation of guys in the church that would have preached a mini message. You sang, down by the river, I took a little walk. We'll have to start teaching them on Sunday night, and then you can join me on that. But anyway, listen, we sang, how about Countdown? 10, 9, somewhere in outer space, God has prepared. You sang. And you sang these songs that kind of got you excited about the things of the Lord. We had sword drills. We had all that stuff is what junior church was when I was growing up. I'd like to see our junior church get to that point where we could have a combination of some songs, maybe a missionary story, some sword drills, maybe different men in the church preach a little message, a 10-minute message, 12-minute message to the kids, that type of thing to get them, so it's not a Sunday school class where they sit down. I feel like we have, Sunday school followed by Sunday school, and they get 2 take-home papers and 2 workbooks and 2, that has to do with having the right people. And that's so important, is having the right people to do those things. This is something where, our church doesn't have a youth pastor or something, where maybe a youth pastor would just take junior church and go do something with them during that hour. We don't have that. We don't have that person that does that, whether it's a lay person or a paid position. We just don't have that right now. So we need the right people to, I find often in church, the people may be there, I just don't know it yet. I find that's the case. So maybe you're there. That's part of my goal tonight, is to tell you this is what we do. I think the children's ministry, of course it's a vital ministry of our church. I think it's something our church does well. I think, in other words, I think we have a lot, we try to do a lot, we have a lot of people involved at different levels, different capacity of that. And I think our children's ministry is something we need to continue to tweak, work on, build, not just status quo, not just do the same thing we've done the last 10 years, but to continue to grow it and build it. We put investment into the playground. We're putting investments into the children and the children's ministry. Our church is blessed by that. There's a lot of my friends that are in the ministry that would love to have the kids we have. That, kids don't come. They just don't come. And ours do. And so we want to make sure we're best reaching them, best training them and teaching them, and then giving them the best that we can while they're here. And right now, we are struggling because there's too much combined. Whether it's what Liz was talking about in junior church, it's even worse in Sunday school, because there's, the age span is even broader right now because they're combined. So there's some great needs there that you can help with. There's